Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Esoteric Atlanta. It's my second live of the day. So thank you guys if you joined us super early this morning. If you did not join us early this morning for Paula and my live on mythology, the replay should be up on the channel. Now, I apologize. I am going live about 35 minutes before I originally scheduled this live, and that is for a very good reason. Before we get into that, I am so sorry we keep postponing the Mystery Monday. If you understand anything about YouTube, you know that you can't do too many shows in one day or it kind of really hides your channel. So I've been putting off the Mystery Monday because really important things in the world are happening right now. And I feel like these things take precedent. I had originally scheduled this live because I've been horrified by some of the things that I've been seeing regarding the Ayatollah and what's happening in Iran. But something has just popped up about Iran that I wanted to. I'm just fuming right now that I'm so hello London, hello Heather, hello Jojo. Something has just happened that I'm absolutely fuming over, and having to do with Iran. And I know that our Australian friends are probably all asleep right now. And I know obviously it's not their fault at all. So I'm hoping though that if we do have some Australians that are awake, that we can get them to pressure their government or do whatever they can to get their prime minister to do the right thing. From what I understand, that their prime minister is probably pretty dirty, but nonetheless, thing about narcissists is they don't like to be embarrassed. So let me talk about that quickly before we get into the bigger picture of Iran. We say it both ways in the United States. This is the Hi Norway. Awesome. So glad you guys are here. This is the Iranian females soccer team, as we say here in the United States. We call it soccer. I know for Europe, they call it football. I think in Australia, they also call it soccer too. But basically, the post is no way Iranians footballers can return home with calls to protect them in Australia. So what happened, this has been on the news, is the Iranian women's soccer team did not stand or did not, well, they stood, but they did not sing for their national anthem. And that by doing that, they have literally risked their lives. They're in Australia right now. Now, I want to kind of point out to these dumbass Americans, excuse my French, but these athletes that kneel for our national anthem because they feel like our country is so oppressive. Well, hello, athletes. You're allowed to kneel and not sing the national anthem because you live in a free fucking country. America is a free country. No one is threatening your life for doing that. You have the freedom. I think it's stupid to do that, but that is your freedom to protest the national anthem, and nobody is going to threaten you. No one is going to arrest you for it because you live in a country that does not oppress you. That does not oppress you. The United States does not oppress you because you have a freedom to do that, and no one's going to bother you about it. These women have basically done the same thing. They have refused to sing their national anthem, and they are now, unfortunately, could be executed for that once they get back to Iran. So I noticed that Trump had posted, and I'm reading this, Australia is making a terrible humanitarian mistake by allowing the Iran national women's soccer team to be forced back to Iran, where they will most likely be killed. Don't do it, Mr. Prime Minister. Give asylum. So Trump is begging the Prime Minister of Australia to not deport these women, to keep them in Australia so that they can remain alive. Trump goes on to say the U.S. will take them if you won't. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Rez Pahlavi, I think I'm saying is, I'm not Iranian, obviously. Pahlavi, is that the Shah that's been in exile? He then tweeted, the members of the Iranian national women's football team are under significant pressure and ongoing threat from the Islamic Republic as a result of their brave act of civil disobedience. In refusing to sing the current regime's national anthem, they face dire consequences if they return to Iran. I call on the Australian government to ensure their safety and give them any and all needed support. So the world is begging the Prime Minister of Australia to keep these ladies safe, to give them asylum in Australia, because if they are sent back to Iran, they will be executed. They will be executed. Okay, so we want these women. They're protesting the regime by not singing the national anthem. They are protesting this regime. Okay, and to protest this regime means certain death. Let's go on to hear what Raza Pahlavi, am I saying that right? I don't know if I'm saying that right. The Shah. He's the Shah in exile. He goes on to tweet, the American and Israel resolve to disseminate the Revolutionary Guards and dismantle the Islamic Republic infrastructure of terror has the broad support of the Iranian people. The current regime's despicable use of Iranians as human shields is a crime against humanity. The safety of civilians and the protection of Iran's vital national infrastructure must remain a priority. Iran's own military, lay down your arms and join the people. If you do, there will be a place for you in free Iran. And this kind of kicks off this situation with these ladies, really kicks off what I wanted to talk about today. And what I've been you would think that nothing would shock us anymore. But I'm realizing that we know our education system is corrupt. Like I'm not speaking, we all realize that. But I realize that a lot of people don't really understand what's happening in Iran right now. And they don't know the history of Iran. And so before we get into it, guys, let's just start. I'm just going to read a bit of a clip from something I took off of Instagram that I think was really great, just to sum it up before we break it down. History story time. In the 1970s, the people of Iran revolted against the Shah. Why? Because the Shah was too heavy-handed with Islam. He banned the call to prayer, Islamic prayer in public, in the hijab, however you say it, from being worn in public. The Shah also expanded women's rights, allowing them to vote and own land. But the Islamists within Iran saw this as an attack on Islam. The communists agreed and allied themselves with the Islamists to overthrow the Shah. Women protested by putting on hijabs. After the IRCG took power of Iran, they systematically turned against the communist and leftist groups who helped them take power. There was mass arrest, torture, and public executions to squash any dissent against the newly formed Islamic Republic. History is repeating itself in the West. Communists and leftists are siding with Islamists to overthrow democratic system. Any right-winger siding with these movements is either woefully ignorant or a closeted communist. I hope we learn from history before it's too late. All right. So let's break down. And the reason why, so a few days ago, I was having a conversation with this person about the Iran situation. I've been very supportive of the people of Iran. The people of Iran, I've been following this since January, when news of them breaking out and mass protests started. And I've been following it. And they were begging for help from the United States, begging and pleading. In my opinion, we stepped in too late, but at least we stepped in. So therefore, what has happened in Iran is not an invasion because, okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about, you're being woefully ignorant right now because I have expressed that I am very skeptical of the Shah. I'm just reading what the Shah has had to say. So exile the Knights of Malta now. If we're going to ban other people from speaking, like even the Shah from speaking, then we are no better than the Islamic regime is right now. So we have to stop this, like stopping other people from speaking. All right. And if you have a problem with that, if you want censorship, if you want people to not speak, you might not want to be on this channel because we don't support censorship here. We let everybody speak. We listen, even people we don't agree with. I'm skeptical of the Shah myself, right? I don't like Netanyahu, but I'm grateful that he's helping right now, right? So it's not black and white, right? You as a human being are not black and white. We're all nuanced, okay? So we're not gonna censor on this channel. That's not going to happen because when we start censoring, that's when we fall into tyrannical control, and that is something we don't want, and that's what we're trying to stop right now. All right. So let's go back and talk about Iran's history. So I was having a conversation and I've been following what's going on in Iran since the protest started, because I cannot imagine the fear that these people have gone through. I am fully aware, as an educated, as educated as I can be, as someone that by the grace of God was born in a free country, as a woman, by the grace of God, I was born in a free country, because I know damn well that if I was in Iran, I would have already been executed a long time ago, because I definitely have never lived in a place where I had to be afraid of speaking my mind. Okay, again, this is very close-minded. I don't like Netanyahu. I don't like Netanyahu, but I am grateful that he has helped. Okay. All right. So I'm going to start blocking you guys, because I'm not, this to me is reeking of controlled opposition. And that's just not something, that's not something I'm down with. We are human beings. Every single person is a human being. Okay. And if we start treating people, even though I don't like Netanyahu, doesn't mean that I have the right to treat him as a non-human. If he has committed crimes, he should be arrested for those crimes and be put on trial for those crimes. I think he has committed crimes, but I'm not the jury. Okay, he still has a, if we start acting like vigilante, violent people and censoring people, then we are no different. Then we are no different than the people we're trying to fight against. Okay, so we got to get that into our heads. All right, so if they're, no, I'm saying you can speak your minds, but please be respectful to people and don't put words in my mouth. I just said that I did not like Netanyahu, but I was okay with him helping the people get free and liberated. Two things can be true, Augusta. Two things can be true. It's called being a human being. Yeah. And then we're going to talk, Sarah, we're going to talk about war and how this is literally you can't polite your way out of a terroristic regime. You cannot polite your way out of it, right? And so, yes, Jojo, just use respect. Don't be disrespectful in the comment section. If somebody disagrees with you, do not put words in people's mouths, which is what you did, Augusta, whatever. You put words in my mouth, and that's not okay. We don't do that. We don't put words in people's mouth. Okay. You can have two. You can hold two opposing ideas, right? As human beings, you can hold. That's great. You've been a loyal viewer, but when you speak, that doesn't give you a right to be disrespectful, right? That does not, we don't tolerate that on this channel. We all speak our minds respectfully. We don't put words in people's mouth. We can hold conflicting ideas. We don't paint people all black and all white. We figure this out, right? We can't, because if that's a slippery slope to go down, that becomes an extremely slippery slope to go down if we start just labeling people as bad and labeling people as good. And that is when it comes into tyrannical control. And that is something we are trying to not do. We don't want to do that. Yeah, entertaining thoughts is a sign of intelligence. Exactly, Sarah. Exactly. That's what Aristotle said that, right? So I do not like Netanyahu. I hate watching him on TV. I don't trust him. But two things can be true. I can be very grateful that for whatever reason, he helped liberated people who had been kidnapped, because that's what's happened in Iran. All right. Yeah. So, right. We just want what's best for humanity. And we're going to talk about that, because what is happening in Iran. So let me get back to what originally prompted this stream. I was having a conversation with someone about what's happening in Iran. And this person literally thought it was racist for us to take out the Ayatollah because they're Islamic. And I looked at this person and I literally thought, oh my fucking God. And I looked at this person, I was like, whoever taught you history, you might need to file a lawsuit, because since when has Iran been Islamic? What are you talking about? And second of all, Islam is a religion. It's not a race. And so for us to label someone from the Middle East as a religion just because they're from the Middle East is frankly quite racist, right? There's tons of different religions in the Middle East. And so I thought we want to go, and Heather, we're going to talk about this in a minute, because I agree as well, that we're going to talk about that as well. Although I am, the Shah that's here now is not the Shah. That's his son that I was reading. That Shah that they got rid of has passed away. But we're going to talk about that in a minute. Iran is Zoroastrian. They're not Muslim. They're Zoroastrian. Okay. And so this person was like, well, then how come they all, practice Islam now? And I thought, oh my God, tell me you've never lived under a dictatorship without telling me you're so free in America that you can't possibly understand what it's like to live under a dictator. They had to convert to Islam to stay alive, And I mean, I have been so unbelievably emotional watching all the celebrations all over the world of the Iranians celebrating the removal of the Ayatollah. And I think we see a lot of, one thing that drives me so crazy is I think a lot of people confuse their lived experience for what they learned in their geopolitics class. And of course, nobody likes war. I don't know one person besides maybe the military industrial complex that actually likes war. But we cannot be naive. You cannot polite okay, you're getting blocked because you are absolutely an abuser, and I'm going to block you. All right, so we don't put up with abuse on this channel. Okay? We don't do that. We do not put up with abuse. Nobody likes war. Nobody wants to go to war. But when you're dealing with someone like the Ayatollah, do you really think that they're going to just negotiate their way out? You really think that we're going to be able to polite them out of power? That's not going to happen. That is not going to happen with a dictator. Living in the United States or living in a first world country, we are so unbelievably blessed. We are so blessed because we have never been in that situation before. God willing, we don't find ourselves in this situation. I know that in the UK, it's getting very scary right now. I was listening to a lot today from other broadcasters in the UK about their fears about what's happening. All right. We cannot polite our way out of, look what happened with the American Revolution. They wrote the Declaration of Independence and then they braced themselves, right? You're never going to be able to negotiate with a dictator. That's never going to happen. The Ayatollah Khomeini is the Adolf Hitler, as we say on this channel, because YouTube, words, of our generation. So I want people to put that into perspective. The only difference between the Ayatollah and old Adolf is the Ayatollah has killed more people. Instead of there being camps, the whole country's a camp, right? So imagine if what was happening in World War II was happening today, and people got mad that the American military went and liberated the camps because, oh, that's just German culture. That's just German. We shouldn't bother. Imagine that. Imagine. So you have to put that, yeah, exactly. We're very blessed that we're also very naive. Freedom isn't free. That when the Ayatollah took over, they took over through manipulation. It was a coup. It was a coup from a very, very small minority. And they used Marxist promises. In order to pull in Sharia law, basically. So let's first look at Marxism. Now, I had ChatGPT organize my notes because unfortunately what's happening nowadays is, with YouTube, with the words, I can get ChatGPT to write it in a way that keeps it safe for YouTube. So let's just look at Marxism for a second. So the core tenets of Marxism comes from the work of Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, especially in works like the Communist Manifesto. Marxism is both a theory of history and a critique of capitalism, arguing that economic systems shape society and that capitalism will eventually be replaced by socialism and communism. Here are the main principles. Now, I want to make something very clear. In my opinion, capitalism, free enterprise cannot happen if there is a monarchy. The two are absolutely conflicting. Okay. And that's my problem with the Shah. is that there's some conflicting things here. Like I don't support monarchy at all. And free enterprise means that we are all equal. And if you have a monarchy system, then you're automatically working with an unequal system. Okay. So I'm just going to put that out there. So let's look at his historical materialism. Marx argued. Now, Karl Marx, if you guys ever want to do a really interesting deep dive, Karl Marx, the guy was a son of a bitch. He was the most nasty, evil human being that you will probably ever study. He was lazy. He made his wife go out and do everything in a time, especially when women didn't have the security to do what men could do. He beat her senseless. And the funny thing is the people in my life that I've known who are hardcore Marxists are also narcissists. They're just like Karl Marx. So keep that in mind as you read his theory, because I think people's theories tell a lot about the state of their soul and the state of their heart. Marx agreed that material conditions, especially economic system, drive history, not ideas or religion. Societies develop through stages based on how they produce goods. Typical stages of Marx identified primitive communism, slave societies, feudalism, capitalism, socialism, and then communism. The key idea, those who control production shapes politics, culture, and law. He believed there was a class struggle, that Marx believed that history is driven by conflict between social classes. His famous line from the Communist Manifesto, the history of all hitherto existing societies is the history of class struggle. He goes on to talk about that. Now, the bourgeoisie, this is actually a word that means middle class, all right? He defines it as owners of capital, factories, business properties, and then the working class. You know, and I've said before, a poor man has never given me a job, right? A poor man has never given me a job. We need rich people. We need that in order to have a functioning society. Okay. All right. I mean, look, communism, when has communism ever worked? It's never worked. It's one of the most deadly regimes. And I'm sorry, guys, if you hear something, they're doing the yard work outside. Labor theory of value and exploitation. Marx believed that labor creates value. Workers produce more value than they are paid in wages. The difference is called surplus value, which becomes profit for capitalists. This is the basis of Marx's claims that capitalism is inherently exploitative. I can't say that word. Alienation. In capitalism, workers become alienated from the products they create, the work process, and their own human potential and other workers, because workers do not own what they produce. And I absolutely, in a lot of ways, I know there's a lot of corrupt businesses out there, but I'm a small business owner, as is my boyfriend. So I don't agree with that at all. And in fact, here in America, most of America is based off of small business. What he's talking about, in my opinion, potentially come more from corporations. That's not small business. And I think small business is actually the backbone of capitalism. Abolition of private ownership of the means of production. Marx did not mean, yes, he did, like clothes or houses. Yes, he did. So this is where ChatGPT starts to change it a little bit, so it's YouTube acceptable. He did mean, look at what's happening in New York right now, right? So he believed that the working class could overthrow capitalism through revolution. Afterwards, there would be a temporary political phase where the working class controls the share to dismantle capitalist systems. Anyway, so in short, the core pillars of Marxism are economic systems drive history, society is divided into classes, capitalism exploits laborers, workers are alienated from their labor, private ownership of production should end, workers should seize political power, socialism will translate into communism. Okay, and I totally disagree with that. You know, I absolutely disagree with that, because in my experience, capitalism gives people free enterprise. You know, if you're working in a corrupt system where there's a monarchy, then that might be a different story. But here in the United States, the way our forefathers set it up is it's the American dream. All right. So what happened the Ayatollah, what happened was they used Marxist ideology to get the left-leaning, the progressive woke people of Iran to back the Ayatollah. Now, after the Ayatollah won the revolution, they executed all of those Marxists. Now, we see this today in other organizations. I can't say the names of them, but you guys probably are aware, the ones that usually get a little rowdy before an election, before, they claim to be one thing, but they're actually Marxist. So this has been done multiple times before. Now let's look now at women's rights before 1979, before the Ayatollah took over. Oops, where'd you guys go? I just lost you guys. Okay, here you are. All right. Women's rights before 1979 in Iran. Okay. So before 1979 Iranian Revolution, Iran was ruled by the monarchy. His government pushed a modernization program called the White Revolution, which was major legal reforms for women. Many of these rights were rolled back after the revolution by Khomeini, which was the Ayatollah, the original Ayatollah. Below is a clear picture of what rights Iranian women had before 1979 and how they differ from today. Women's rights in Iran before 1979 revolution. Women could vote and hold political office. Women gained suffrage in 1963 as part of the Shah's reform. They could vote in national elections, run for parliament, and serve in government positions. Some women even became members of parliament and cabinet officials. 2, progressive family law, marriage and divorce rights. One of the biggest reforms was the Family Protection Law, 1967, and was expanded in 1975. Key rights included that women could file for divorce through family courts. Judges, not husbands alone, decided divorce cases. Women could seek child custody. Polygamy was restricted and required court approval. Special family courts were created to handle disputes. These laws were considered extremely progressive for the region at that time. The law also raised the minimum marriage age of women to 18 for women, which is in the United States, it's 18. Prevented men from divorcing wives without court approval, that we're going to talk about that in a second with the Soraya case. Education and university access. Women were strongly encouraged to pursue an education. This was before the Ayatollah, guys, before the Ayatollah. Examples: universities admitted women starting in the 1930s. Many women studied medicine, law, and engineering. Female literacy and higher education expanded dramatically. By the 1970s, women were a visible part of the professional class. 4, dress was a personal choice. There was no mandatory law to be completely covered, okay? Women could wear Western clothing, choose whether to wear a scarf or a headscarf, work and socialize in mixed gendered spaces. I'll show you some photos in a minute. Career and public life. Women worked in many fields. Women were doctors, lawyers, professors, business leaders, artists, and musicians. Some also served as judges, which later became restricted after the Ayatollah took over. What changed after 1979? We're going to skip down here. When the Islamic Republic was established, many of these rights were reserved or reduced, including suspension of the Family Protection Law, lower marriage age for girls, mandatory, all covering mandatory, loss of female judges, and reduced divorce and custody rights. In simple terms, before 1979, Iran was moving towards a secular, Western-style legal system for women, especially in cities. After the revolution, the country shifted to religious law based on Shiite Islamic jurisprudence, which created many legal differences between men and women. And this is the big thing. So let's go here now to, let me take this down and let's look at Marxism and what happened between the Marxist and the Ayatollah. Many Marxist and leftist groups initially supported Khomeini during the Iranian Revolution. This seems surprising because Marxism is atheist and materialist, while Khomeini led a religious Islamic movement. But in the revolutionary moment, several political and ideological factors led Marxists to back him. Why the Marxists supported the Ayatollah? Shared enemy, the Shah. The most immediate reason was a common enemy, the Shah. They saw the Shah's regime as authoritarian, was supported by the United States, was hostile towards socialist movements. Well, personally, I'm also hostile towards socialist movement because I have lived for a short time in a socialist country, and it's awful. It's terrible. Many Marxists saw his government as Western-backed capitalist dictatorship. So during the revolution, a broad coalition formed, including Islamist, Marxist, liberals, nationalists. They were united mainly by opposition to the Shah rather than a shared ideology. 2, anti-imperialism. Anti-imperialism was the single most important factor. Marxist groups interpreted Khomeini's rhetoric about the oppressed versus the oppressor, attacks on the United States, the denouncing of Western influence as anti-imperialist revolutionary language. Khomeini described the U.S. as the great Satan. Many leftists translated this rhetoric into their own ideological framework of global struggles against capitalism and imperialism. 3, belief the Islamic movement was a stage. Some Marxists believed the Islamic Revolution was an early stage of deeper socialist revolution. So they stupidly looked over these radical religious beliefs. Their theories looked like overthrow the monarchy, break Western imperialism, radicalize workers and peasants, eventually move towards socialism. They thought their clerics would lose power once the working class was organized politically. The assumption turned out to be catastrophically wrong. Absolutely. For they had to learn the hard ways that they lost their lives for it. For Islamic revolutionary rhetoric borrowed from Marxism. So this is really important, guys. Several Iranian thinkers blended Islam and revolutionary socialist language. They go about this one, Ali Sharita. He portrayed Shia Islam as the religion of the oppressed fighting injustice, using concepts similar to Marxist class struggle. See, they manipulated it, right? They manipulated it. This made the Islamic movement sound compatible with socialist revolution to many young and dumb activists. 5, misreading a religion's power. Many Marxists simply underestimated the power of religion in Iran society. Classic Marxism predicted religion would decline as society modernized. But in Iran, the opposite happened. Islam became the main revolutionary mobilizing force. Many leftists believed the clerics were merely symbolic leaders and that the workers' movements would eventually dominate. What happened next? The final miscalculation. Once the Shah fell in 1979, Khomeini, the Ayatollah, the Islamic Ayatollah, consolidated power. The Islamic Republic was created. Leftist groups were purged. They were mass executed. Many organizations that helped the revolution were banned, imprisoned, or executed. Communist parties were crushed. In other words, the revolution devoured its Marxist allies. The historical irony, the Islamic Republic that emerged was explicitly anti-communist, religious, and authoritarian. The revolutionary slogan became neither East nor West Islamic Republic, meaning Iran rejected both Western capitalism and Soviet communism. In simple terms, Marxists supported Khomeini because they believed he was leading an anti-imperialist revolution against a Western puppet monarchy, and they assumed that socialism would follow. Indeed, political Islam took power and eliminated them. So this is happening in the West right now. This is absolutely, Sarah. The Marxist language might sound English, but it's different in that, yeah, it definitely, it is definitely, it's not compatible. Marxism is not compatible with a free society. It's not. I'm not saying that capitalism is perfect by any means, but capitalism is way better than oh, thanks, Deb. Thank you. It's way better. Capitalism is the best that we have so far to ensure freedom. Exactly, Sarah. That's why I wanted to talk about this, because we're seeing this happen today. They're big time. For my UK friends who are in the chat, let us know, because I was listening to some stuff today and it's terrifying what's happening in the UK, and it's so sad. We see, how did they start this? So we see this takeover happening. How did they start this takeover in modern times? They started saying that, they started saying that they, white people don't have a culture. I'm sorry, what? What are you talking about? You're welcome for Halloween. You're welcome for Christmas. You're welcome for St. Patrick's Day, for Midsummer's Eve. Of course, white people have a culture. Of course, Europe has a culture. Most of the major holidays that corporations make profit off come from white people. Come from white people. Halloween is very white. I want to look here. So I want to show you guys. Here's some pictures of Iran. Whoops, that's not what I was doing. Let me remove this quickly. Let's what do I have up here? No, we want to remove that, and I want to put this picture up. So these are women in Iran and one man in Iran before the Iranian Revolution. Look at that. They look just like us. Yeah. Here's some more pictures of Iranian women before the revolution. Free. They're free, aren't they? So under law in Iran before the revolution, women had the rights that we have now here in America. They could become professionals. They could go to work. They could vote. The Shah upped the marriage age to 18, which is the same age we have here in the United States, right? They could file for divorce. The women, if a woman was in a situation, yeah, they're gorgeous, aren't they, Jojo? Iranian Persian women are some of the most beautiful women on the planet. I would kill for their hair. Like, not really, but I would love to have their hair. And they could file for divorce, where a judge would take care of all of the finances and divisions of assets, and not the husband. Now, again, there were also female judges, right? So after the Iranian Revolution, what do Iranians look like? Iranian women like this. Yep. Exactly. People in art, because I mean, I was born in 1983, so this all happened before I was even born. But I've been, just studying Persia, the Persian Empire, you guys, which is what Iran is. It's Persia, and most of the Iranian Americans that I know quite a few that are asylum seekers. Exactly, Sarah, 100%, 100%. That's why I love you guys. You guys are all on the same. We all are on the same wavelength. I know a lot of Iranian Americans who are like first generation, like around my age, first generation, our ages, first generation Americans whose parents fled Iran. And so to hear them talk about this, it's quite heartbreaking. So Heather, I got that from I'm getting this from UK people. I'm not getting it from other Americans. I'm getting it from people in the UK experiencing it. It's I think it's people living more in London too that are experiencing it more. It's not Americans that are saying it. It's English people that are putting this out. The SOS. They want their English culture back, and they don't want to have to, take a knee to any other culture. When you immigrate to a country, you have to assimilate to that country, right? I wouldn't be able to, like, if I moved to the UK and took UK citizenship, I would have to assimilate to English culture, which wouldn't be that hard as American because they're pretty similar. And I heard a patriot in Canada say something very interesting. One of the patriot loving Canadians fighting Mark Carney, saying that, when you immigrate to a country, you assimilate with them. But if people come into a country waving their own country's flag, that's not immigration, that's invasion. And he's right. When you go into a country waving your own flag, you're invading the country. You're not assimilating. Yeah, it's not the news. I'm not hearing it from the news. It's not the news I'm hearing it from, Heather. It's other colleagues in UK that I have a lot of contacts in UK that I'm hearing it from, multiple people. So it's not the news. We don't even watch the news. We don't even watch the American news. The only mainstream news that I'll watch is Australia Sky, the Rita lady who's also Persian. I'll watch her because she's funny. But yeah, but we have to, look what's happening in New York with Mandani, right? It's the same thing, right? And so we've been taught to this multiculturalism, right? To be able to respect other people's cultures. And that's true to an extent. And I actually heard, I lived in the UK for a while. So remember, even before I was ever on YouTube, I lived there. So I have contacts there I've had for years, and also through yoga as well. Like, there's a lot of English people Um, no, actually, Heather, some of them are like leftists that I hear it from. Some of the yoga people that are telling me stuff are like, we're very different politically, and they're still my friends. So it's not just far right extremists that are saying that. It's not. It's some leftists too. Um, yeah, if America becomes Sharia law everywhere, yeah, exactly. No, well, Sharia law does not compute with American law. It doesn't. That their laws don't compute with ours. Now, I want to make this very clear. Exactly, Jenny. I was thinking about Mandani. Like, it's so sad. Like, it's so sad. And the fact that people keep falling for this generation after generation after generation, like it's like the elites of the world just laugh at us because they keep doing the shit, saying the same shit, and we just keep falling for it. And it's never worked. Socialism and communism has never worked. It's never worked. And so I want to go a little bit back into Zoroastrianism, because this is the actual religion of Persia, is Zoroastrianism. Now, what's interesting about when I look at this emblem is that it looks a lot like the ISIS emblem. And if you guys want, I've been sharing, if you go to my Instagram, if you go to my Instagram and you look on the repost page, I've reposted so many. Every time a Persian speaks up, I repost it. I repost it. I repost it because I want to share their oh my God, Jenny. Jesus. And isn't he Epstein's? We're going to get to Epstein in a minute, guys, but isn't he Epstein's son? So let's talk a little bit about Zoroastrianism, because this is what Persia has been for centuries. And this is why this person there's no such thing as utopia. Forcing everyone to be like you isn't giving somebody freedom. Yeah, forcing people to be Marxist, and that's not giving them freedom. So the Shah basically, so in Iran, and I was saying a lot of my Iranian friends here actually prefer to be called Persian. They call themselves Persian Americans. They don't even like calling themselves Iranian. I'm using Iran because that's what most people know, but I want to recognize that a lot of the people I know prefer to be called Persian to Iranian, because Persia, we have so much, you guys, of our society, of our civilization today comes from Persia. Like Persia, I don't think people understand like what an incredible empire, what a powerful, dominating empire Persia was for centuries. For centuries. You know, they've given us so much technology. Like we would not be where we are as a planet with technology, with everything, if it wasn't for Persia. So the fact that they've been so crumbled by this Ayatollah is heartbreaking. But the Shah, so what caused this? So the Shah, and we talk about this here in the United States, right? This is a huge debate we have in the United States because we have freedom of religion. We don't have a state religion at all. Like in the UK, they have the Church of England. Some countries in the West are Catholic, some are Lutheran, Protestant, whatever. But the United States, we do not have a state religion because we have separation from the get-go. Our founding fathers were like, think about it. Our founding fathers in America had just come from Europe, where people were getting their heads chopped off left, right, and center for just believing in a slightly different Jesus, right? So they were like, you know what? We're just gonna let people believe what they want. But in saying that, and this is what I don't agree with having a theocracy. I believe in God. I have a strong faith in God, but I do not believe in a theocracy, because a lot of religion is it's man's opinion of God, right? And that's where we get into trouble. That's where we have things like the Ayatollah, right? Imagine if Westboro Baptist Church took control of our government, like in the United States. Like that would be bad. Like we need secular laws in order to keep balance, to keep power in check, basically. Did that make sense? So my mother, who can quote the Bible like nobody's business, is a huge supporter of a separation between church and states. All right. So basically the Shah was like, the main religion is Zoroastrianism. They had freedom of religion in Iran, however. So you had these small pockets of other practicing faiths as well. And what was happening, as we're seeing here in the United States right now, is that a lot of the people who practice Islam, now I do recognize that there are a lot of Muslims in the world who are horrified by the Ayatollah. I get that. And I'm going to honor that. I have a friend that I grew up with who is Muslim. And if all Muslims were like her and her family, the Ayatollah would not exist, right? Because Her father put her through medical school, like the exact opposite of what the Ayatollah is doing to women. So I want to acknowledge that there are Muslims who are super cool, who are totally in the Western world. They're not I mean, there's bad ideas in the Bible too, right? They're not practicing the bad ideas of Islam. They're humanist at the end of the day. They love humans. So I do want to recognize that when I say that. But people who follow Sharia law, who are very intent on making every law of the Quran a theocracy, this is where it gets dangerous because of some of the laws that are in the Quran, right? So, and again, I want to say that the Bible has some bad shit in it too. Like, there's some bad stuff, some bad ideas in there as well. But what's scary is, so what was happening is that, like in the United States, we have freedom of religion, but you can only practice your religion within the confines of the laws of the land. We see this struggle mostly in America with Mormonism, right? With their practicing of polygamy and blood atonement and all that kind of stuff. And the government's like, you can be a Mormon, you just can't have multiple wives because that's illegal. You can be a Mormon, you just can't practice blood atonement because that's murder. You have to follow, your religion can't take from somebody else's humanity here in the United States. And I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. Trump made animal abuse a felony. So anybody using animals as sacrifices for their religion, that's a felony now. You can't do that in the United States. You have to honor the laws of the land. You have to respect other people's humanity to practice your religion. Same thing was happening in Iran. So all of these small pockets of Muslims in Iran were doing things like marrying child brides, kids at 6, practicing polygamy. They were unaliving people's pet dogs because in the Quran, the dogs are dirty. And so the Shah cracked down on that and said, you can practice Islam. You just have to follow our country's laws, though. You can't marry children here. The legal age is 18. You can't marry a woman under 18. So this pissed the righteous Islamic off. Now, one of the laws in Islam is that, as Muhammad said, you are free to lie if it's for the betterment of Islam. So that is what the Ayatollah did to all these Marxists. They lied to them. In order to get them to join their forces, because the Ayatollah was such a small group of people that there was no way that they were going to be able to take down the Persian Empire with just them. Okay. Now, again, I want to go back. I want to go back. Yeah, the friend I grew up with, man. Listen, the friend that I grew up with, if they're not from Iran, they're from northern India. But if their family were to go to Iran, they'd probably all be executed too, because they're not following. They're very assimilated to the West. And my friend's an American. It's crazy. But let's talk a little bit about Zoroastrianism, because if you guys notice, a lot of the Persian protesters out there have on a necklace that look like this. That look just like this. And I noticed it, even I knew that Zoroastrianism was their main religion. I learned that in school. I've always known that Islam was not ever the official religion of Iran before the Ayatollah. I've known that. But I never really paid attention to symbolism in Zoroastrianism. And then I saw, when I was researching for this show, I saw this and I was like, how interesting. There are tons of, if you go back and look on my Instagram, all the reposts of protesters wearing this necklace. So symbolizing that they're still Zoroastrian. That's still their religion. So let's talk a little bit about Zoroastrianism, because it's quite interesting. So this was the state religion of the Persian Empire for over 1,000 years. Zoroastrianism shaped Persian law, ethics, kingship, and cosmology, and it gave influence to Judaism, Christianity, and a little bit of aspect to Islam, but mostly Judaism and Christianity. It's one of the oldest monotheistic religions in the world. It was founded by Zoroaster around 1500 to 1000 BC. Central belief is a common one. There's a struggle between the God of truth, light, and wisdom, and the spirit of chaos, deception, and darkness. So there's a struggle between good and evil. That humans have to choose between truth and falsehood. Their lingo is good thoughts, good words, good deeds. Cyrus the Great. Let's talk a little bit about Cyrus the Great. One of the greatest Persian rulers that ever lived, Cyrus the Great, right? We study him in school. So he lived somewhere between 600 and 530 BCE. He's even mentioned in the Bible. He is one of the big figures in the Bible in the Old Testament that the Jewish people honored, even though he wasn't Jewish. He's talked about in the book of Isaiah, the book of Ezra, the second book of Chronicles, and the book of Daniel. Because he was a ruler who allowed the Jewish people to return to Jerusalem after their exile in Babylon. So if you want to know why, now again, I don't like Bibi Netanyahu. I've been very clear about that. I don't trust that guy. But just because I don't like him and I don't trust him doesn't mean that he is automatically guilty. I believe that we have to have law and order, and there has to be evidence of crimes in order for somebody to be accused of a crime. So even though and that's where a lot of people in the beginning didn't quite kind of went off the hinges. And that's one thing that I can't stand about the truther community is that they just label people as bad and there's no evidence. It's just thoughts and feelings and these made up conspiracies that label somebody as evil when you don't have the evidence. So we have to have the evidence. They have to have the evidence. Yep. There we go, Jenny. Exactly. My friends who came here as children from Iran taught me about Zoroastrianism. They speak Persian and they are all American. Absolutely. Persians, Americans, the ones that came here for asylum, have a deep love for America as well. That's one thing I greatly respect about all the people from Iran who are here, the Persians who came here, who ran here after the Irani revolution seeking asylum, is that they truly, even the ones who were born here, most of them truly appreciate be given life here, and that they have the support of the United States, and they wave both flags, both the Persian and the American flag, and consider both to be home. And that's my friends as well who were born here as Americans, but parents came from Iran. They're very respectful of the United States. They have a great love for this country because it gave them life. And that's one thing I love about the Persians is that they still keep their heritage, but they assimilate to the United States as well. So Zoroastrian Persia had religious tolerance, had strong emphasis on truth versus lies, and under Zoroastrian became the largest empire in the world, the strongest empire in the world. So the cosmology of Zoroastrianism is there's a heaven and there's a hell, there's a final judgment, there's a resurrection of the dead, that there are angels and there are demons, and that there's a final savior figure. Sounds just like Judaism and Christianity, doesn't it? Sounds just like it. Now, here's the thing. I always laugh because I don't fundamentalist Christians scare me just as much as like fundamentalist Muslims do. Yeah. Yes, Dragonfly. Thank you for saying that. And I want to emphasize again, just because I am very skeptical and get a bad feeling about Netanyahu doesn't mean that I don't love the Jewish people. Just because I'm skeptical of Judaism as a whole and Christianity as a whole, I have questions about the Old Testament, doesn't mean that I don't want life and liberty for all the people of Israel, right? It's the same all over the world. Like the Pakistanians, the Palestinians, the Afghans, all these people that live in these very tumultuous areas, most of them are just like us. Their mothers, their fathers, their sons, their daughters, their aunts, their uncles, they're just trying to have a good life. And they don't want to hurt. You know, I believe the Israelis and the Palestinians, if you just left them alone, I think that they would get along just fine. Like, I don't think it's the people that's the problem, right? We've learned that. And so I agree with you, Dragonfly. Yeah, good people can be from any faith, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely, DK. That's why I say about, DK's in Canada. He's a huge Canadian patriot. That's what I say about when I get frustrated with the Canadian government. It's not the Canadian people. I'm frustrated with the government because I love the Canadian people. And it's not fair what the Canadians are going through. And it pisses me off that Mark Carney is doing what he's doing to the good people of Canada, right? Exactly. Well, same too, Sarah. I'm not keen on them either. But as far as like individual humans that practice Judaism, I absolutely want them to have the happiest, best lives possible, live in peace, practice their faith in peace. And it is absolutely, as DK, it's the governments that are the problem here. Same with the Ayatollah. And this is where the problem is, that a lot of people are very confused. again, with this person I was talking to, I think people assume that the Iranian people are happy under the Ayatollah because this is their religion. Well, by and large, no, it's not. By and large, no, it's not. By and large, their religion is Zoroastrianism. They cannot, however, practice Zoroastrianism because they are under a dictatorship. And that just shows how ignorant in a blessed way a lot of Westerners can be, because we've never been in this situation. We've never, as Americans, we've never been in a situation where we couldn't like show our disgust. Like, I live in a country where I can talk about the missing books of the Bible and the problems that I have with religion because I live in a free country. That most of the stuff I talked about on my channel cannot have most of the things I talk about on this channel would have gotten me executed in Iran, right? Or in any country. And yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's awesome. And I hope your Gillian, I hope your godchildren are just over the moon right now, happy, seeing how happy they are here. They were about a mile from where we live. There was a lot of Persians celebrating the elimination of the Ayatollah, and it gets me emotional because I'm so happy for them. Like, nobody deserves. No, I'm going to get emotional. No human being deserves to live as the Iranians have been living. It's a disgrace on this planet to see people treated that way. If one human being is enslaved in this planet, then we all are. Then it's not okay. None of us are okay. And I think again, though, that the misconception with young people is that they don't realize that for Persians, their heritage is not Islam. Yeah, there's Zoroastrian, and Zoroastrian is a very tolerant religion, as it's very tolerant. That's, the Shah was like, hey, have freedom. As authoritarian as people think he might have been, he still was like, you can practice what you want to practice. However, we just got to make sure that you're not hurting other people. I want to cover something too. Actually, I guess the granddaughter of the Shah, who was exiled, because he's no longer living. The quotes I read in the beginning were from his son. So his daughter, the granddaughter of the original Shah, spoke in LA. And you guys, the Google machine is trying so hard to block all these pictures of all these Iranians celebrating, because you can't find them on the Google machine. But again, if you go to my Instagram and you look at all my reposts, you can see all of the videos. She spoke in LA. And what she pleads for U.S. action to restore nation. So this is the thing that people are not realizing. And again, I was following this whole situation in Iran starting in January, when things started to get really crazy. And they were calling for help. Like, they were calling for help from the United States. And I'm going to be real honest with you guys. This is not me being biased as an American. I'm going to say this because it's the truth. If you need help, if you need rescue, which military are you going to call? You're going to call the United States military, because they're going to get it done. Right. And so, of course, they were calling for the U.S. military, calling for help, putting up signs for Trump to please help them. SOS, SOS. Iran cut off their internet. They did everything. They were killing them by the hundreds of thousands and just for protesting. Finally, the U.S. struck and took down the Ayatollah. And what I was saying to Paula this morning before we started filming was like, I didn't realize that we could do war like this. There's no pomp and circumstance there. I was looking at the tally of deaths, and it's only, they're not going after no civilians. The Ayatollah is going after civilians, but the United States isn't. And so I think it's really amazing that we can do that. We saw with Venezuela as well. And now Cubans are like, help us, help us, help us. Yeah, that is true, Charles. And I know Dragonfly probably knows a lot about this too. They hide behind, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I think a lot of Jewish people are aware of that with the Khazarian mafia. I think and that's probably my thoughts on Netanyahu as well. And I mean, we see that in the Christian church as well. There are a lot of people that hide behind labels. And I think that with a lot of Islamic people as well, too, with these fundamentalists. So this is true. The Persians were asking for help from the United States. And so I feel like what's happening is that a lot of people are trying to now gaslight the Persians, and that makes me really upset. I don't like gaslighting. Gaslighting is something out of every abusive thing you can do to a human. I think gaslighting is one of the worst things you can do. It happens a lot in the comment section where people try to gaslight when they don't like your opinion. We saw it earlier, right? The Persians are at the United States didn't technically invade. They came and assisted because the Persian people asked for the assistance. So you're telling me all these white people in their ivory towers of freedom are now going to get online and tell the Iranians that they're wrong. You're wrong. You don't need to be liberated. Like, how stupid does that? Again, let's take it back to the Holocaust. Like, could you imagine? Could you imagine if in World War II, people were like, no, we don't need to free the camps because that's German culture. Put them back in the camps. It's German culture. Are you that much of an idiot? Like, this is debauchery. This is sadism. This is evil. What's happening? And these women are I can't even and by the grace of God, I was born in a free country. By the grace of God, I could be on this right now and talk to you guys about this because could not do that in Iran. And for the women that have been, for women who get graping women, they're executed for being unchaste. So when you get graped, it's your fault in Iran. If your hair accidentally slips out, you're lashed publicly. When your child turns 7, you lose full custody of your child. This is like, it is the most evil regime I think we have ever seen on the face of the earth. And for people who are and what's crazy is you're seeing here in America, like all these like loony leftists who are out there protesting the elimination of the Ayatollah and the mullahs. And I'm like, you realize that just you protesting would get you executed in Iran. So you're protesting the removal of somebody who would have executed you for protesting. Do you not see the irony in this? Do you not see? Absolutely. I follow a lot of really famous military guys, like that show, what's it called? Now my mind's gone blank. Oh my God, it's one of my favorite shows where they take celebrities and they run them through like Marines training. I follow those guys. They're high up military, and I've watched them. They're liking all of this stuff about freeing Persia, because they know what that's like. They know what that's like. They've been in war. They've seen what happens to people, and I find it to be very racist. And I hate to say that because we know that the other side loves to use the word racist, but I actually find them to be the racist ones, to be sitting there and thinking that their university education into geopolitics is somehow more valuable than an Iranian woman's lived experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, shut up, sit down and shut up. You've never lived under Sharia law. Never. I still have that up, or did it boot it? It might have booted it. Sometimes StreamYard does that. Let me, in a minute, I'll pull it up, but it shows you, Jenny, that is crazy. That is literally, I don't doubt you, but that is wackadoo. That man is burning in hell right now. Like, what are you talking about? Have you seen, well, let's talk about Epstein for a minute, because everybody's like, well, the Ayatollah, he wasn't in Epstein's emails. And I'm like, yeah, because everything in Epstein's emails is legal in Iran. It's legal. So why would he go to an island on the other side of the world when he can just do it in his own country? He makes the rules. He's a PDF file. He lowered, the Shah had the marriage age for women at 18 years old, the same legal age it is here in the United States and most Western world countries, right? He lowered it to what, 6 years old? 9, legally 6 with a parent's permission. He's a PDF file. He is worse than he didn't. And I see all these people like in the, who are up on the Epstein stuff, like pitching a fit because Iran is getting settled right now and not Epstein's emails. And I'm like, but this is equally as important. Like, this is equally as important. I'm so confused, truthers. So you're telling me, truthers, that that these lives in Iran are not as important as the Western lives that you're trying. I'm so confused because here's the sad reality. Here's the sad reality. Here's the sad reality. A lot of the victims that are in Epstein's emails are no longer with us. That is the sad reality. And justice is, I don't think we're going to let it go. I think it will be served. Justice will be served. But right now, we have people's lives that are in peril, that are alive right now in Iran. Their lives are in peril. So I'm not upset that they went and took care of that right now, because it seems like that was a little bit not more important, but more pressing to make sure we get, I just saw that the Ayatollah, yeah, it's crazy. Like the fact that these truthers think that rescuing people who've been kidnapped, because that's what this is. That's what this regime is. They're kidnapping people. They don't let women leave the country at all. This is a hostage situation. So you're telling me, truthers, that these hostages, these human beings who are being held hostage by a man who is just as depraved as Jeffrey Epstein, is not as important? It's not as important. It's I don't agree with you at all, at all. I think, and the thing about, so what's different between this and other Middle East conflicts is that they asked for this. In other Middle East conflicts, the motive was different. There was a different motive. And let's talk a little bit about the oil in Iran. I was talking to Todd about this, and Todd was like, we're talking about the idea of like, now Trump controls the oil. Is that what's happening? And Todd looked at me and he was like, I would rather Trump control the oil, or any Western country to control the oil, honestly, because if the West is not controlling the oil, then China's going to control it. And if China controls it, we're all fucked. So two things can be true here. We can be liberating human beings, and we can be securing a freer country, because you don't want to mess with China. China has concentration camps. China is awful. What's that video of China asshole? That really funny video that's been going. So but regardless, like humans are being liberated. Where is our humanity? If you're upset about the fact that that we're in Iran liberating humans, then I would say that you need to have some self-reflection, right? You need to self-reflect a little bit. How would you feel if I were in that situation? If we in America fell into that situation, I would be praying that another country would invade. I would be hoping and praying that another country would come in and invade, and I would be so grateful. I'd be so grateful. Right? And so for us to be this selfish and this deranged to somehow think we should just leave Iran to itself because, that's their culture. No, it's not their culture. And regardless of whether some of them are Muslim, they yeah, but they're taking them out. I don't they asked for this. Absolutely, they asked for this. The Iranians asked for this. This is false, what you're saying. This is not correct. The Iranians asked for this. And I'm going to ask you to be a little bit more polite in the comment section. We're having a conversation here, but they absolutely asked for this. And they asked for our assistance. They're asked for our assistance. And I'm going to ask you to press Blonde to do a little bit of self-reflecting, because these are human beings that we're talking about. These are human beings that are being held captive. Exactly. They have been under a terrorist regime since 1979. They have been held captive. And the fact that I don't know where you live, but I'm assuming that maybe I've been through the Middle East. I travel through the Middle East all the time. Iran asked for help. They asked for help. Absolutely. We have tons of proof. Are you kidding me? There's tons of proof out there. They're just taking out the ones who control the whole country. They're just taking out the ones who control the whole country. They're not touching the civilians. Have you seen, Depressed Blonde, have you seen the videos of the people in Tehran celebrating every time one gets nuked? Have you seen that? Well, then you should have respect. If you're a veteran, you should have respect for human life. And that's pretty sad that you don't see the humanity in this. Yeah, that's sad. All humanity is important, and we have to save the children. Yeah, exactly. They're saving lives. Have you seen the tears of the Persians grateful and thankful and thanking people for helping them get out of this? Do you know what the women have been through over there? Do you have wives, daughters, sisters? How would you feel if your daughter could legally be raped? How would you feel about that if she could legally be raped and there's nothing as a father you could do about it? How would that make you feel? The people of Iran are wonderful, and they're as a I'm not a huge fan of the Bible, but there is a part of the Bible that I like, and it says, "To whom much is given, much is expected." I think it's our responsibility when they ask us to help them, Depressed Blonde. They asked for help. They asked us to help them, and we are the strongest military in the world. And if somebody asks us to help and we turn our back on them, then we're shitty people. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, Jenny, if Depressed Blonde, if you think it's so great over there and we shouldn't get involved, go live there yourself. They asked for our help. If you're out in the public, if you're out on the street and you see somebody, exactly, exactly. If you see somebody struggling on the street, if you see somebody struggling on the street and they're calling out, they asking you to help them, would you just walk off and say, not my responsibility? No, you'd help them. You'd help them because you're a human being. We're human beings. And they asked for help. They asked for help and we helped them. It took us 2 months. I think we stepped in a little bit late, to be honest with you. It took us 2 months to go there and help them, but we helped them. Yeah, maybe you should. I know you said you were in the military, but maybe you should travel. I've traveled through the Middle East. The last time I traveled through the Middle East, I said I'm never again. It scared the shit out of me. Last time I traveled coming home from India, I was like never again. And I agree, we do need to help the Americans too, but right now, all human lives matter, and I'm very happy that we saved some lives. I'm really happy that we saved some lives. And I'm really glad that people there feel hope again. Because there's a lot in Depressed Blonde. Go look through history. There's a lot we have in the Western world that we wouldn't have if it wasn't for the Persian Empire. There's a lot we have that we wouldn't have if it wasn't for the Persian Empire. And I would beg you to find your soul. Like, find your soul. Would you, if you saw a child screaming on the ground that, well, I'm a millennial and this is what I voted for. So don't speak for me. I'm a millennial too. I'm a millennial too. If you saw a Depressed Blonde, if you saw a child screaming on the ground, they were desperately hurt, their leg was broken, and they were calling out for you as an adult to come and help them, would you just walk away and say, nah, not my problem? No, you'd help them. You'd help them. And that's what we've done. We've tried to help, because to whom much is given, much is expected. And as a woman who has a right to a voice because I was born in a free country, I will use my voice for the Iranian women. Right? Well, so because of Gaza, we shouldn't worry about the Iranians? Because more children were killed in Iran than Gaza. So we saved those children in Iran. Have you heard the story of the starfish? What's that story where the guy's been a huge storm and the guy's walking down the street picking up starfish, throwing it back in the water, and a guy comes up and like, you're never going to get to all the starfish. You're not going to make a difference. And he throws this thing, goes, well, I just made a difference to that one. So can you not be happy for the children that have been saved in Iran? I don't like what happened in Gaza either. But I can also, as a human being, I can also be happy for the people in Iran who have been saved. I do care about Gaza's people. I just said that. Please, again, do not put words in people's mouths, Depressed Blonde. You just put words in my mouth right there, and that is not good. I didn't say that. I said I'm upset about what happened in Gaza too, but I can be happy about what happened in Iran. I'm not going to let my soul be destroyed over one point. I'm going to celebrate with the people of Iran because every human life counts, and those Iranian lives counted too. So what, we just ignore Iran because of Gaza? How would you feel if you were in that situation? You got to have empathy, dude. So anyway, I'm not going to I'm going to actually delete this comment because I don't like when people put words in people's mouths, and you put words in my mouth. So that's not going to stay up because you just misspoke, and that's not okay. So anyway, let's move on, you guys. I want to talk about a book that I actually just recently read, and it's called, if you really want to know what's going on, and what's really going on in Iran, I would suggest getting this book. I read it in like a day. No, you aren't challenging my beliefs because you're putting words in my mouth. That's not challenging somebody's beliefs. You're not even answering my questions that I'm asking you. And that's the problem, Depressed Blonde, is that, and I hate to say it, how you're coming in here like that, that's what we deal with on a daily basis. We're here to have an open conversation about this. And you're shoving your beliefs down our throats. And when we ask you questions in return, you refuse to answer, and instead you put words in our mouths. And that's not, my question was, do Iranian lives matter? Do you care about human life in Iran? That was my question. And instead you turned it onto Gaza instead of talking about Iran. No, you're not. You haven't. So that was my question, is, do you not care about, would you not help a child on the street that was crawling out? Okay, good. Of course you do. So can you not be happy for the Iranian people who are out there celebrating right now? Can you not be just happy for them that they get to leave their country? They can leave if they want. These women have not been able to leave. There's another, I watched the movie a couple of days ago. It's, yeah, All Life, it does. And that's what we're happy about. We're happy about Iran. We're happy that I'm so incredibly, I get so emotional listening to these Persians. There's a guy I shared on I reposted him. He talked about how he's going to be taking his paralyzed father home for the first time since they've left Iran. And that he said, I'm paraphrasing, but he said, I actually messaged him to see if this guy could come on my channel. He said, my whole life I've struggled to believe in God, but at this moment I'm saying, thank you, God. Thank you, God, that my people are liberated now. You know, we have to really think about this logically. The Ayatollah is this generation's Hitler. Are we really going to be protecting somebody like that? Now, this book called The Stoning of Sariah, they've made a movie out of it as well. You can find a movie. It's in Farsi, so you have to watch the subtitles. This is an incredible, true story, true account. And I'm going to read you a quote. An unforgettable indictment, brilliantly written and translated, of man's inhumanity to women and the tyranny designed as righteousness. Okay? All right, so let me read you the back of the book. When he couldn't afford to marry another woman, Sariah M's husband plotted with 4 friends and a counterfeit mullah to dispose of her. Together, they accused Sariah of adultery. Her only crime was cooking for a friend's widowed husband. Exhausted by a lifetime of abuse and hardship, Sariah said nothing, and the makeshift tribunal took her silence as a confession of guilt. Day by day, sometimes minute by minute, Syriaism, the law, definitely recounts these horrific, tracing Sariah's life with the searing immediacy of her arranged marriage and the birth of her children to her husband's increasing cruelty and the difficult details of her horrifying execution, whereby tradition, Her father, husband, and sons hurled the first stones. A stark look at the intersection between culture and justice. This one woman's story, but it stands for the stories of thousands of women who suffer and continue to suffer the same fate. This is a story that must be told. This is a story of Soraya M. And I read it. It's pretty quick read. It was written by this guy. I can't even begin to say his name. He was an Iranian French journalist. And actually, he has a warrant out for his execution. Shall I read it? He was the son of a former Iranian ambassador, as he is a journalist who is sentenced to death for his undercover reporting criticizing the Iranian government. So he lives in France. He went to Iran. He got this story and he printed it in a book and exposed this particular story. Here is the one picture we have of the real Soraya. This was in like 1985, 1986, so only a few years into the Ayatollah's reign. And basically what happened was her husband wanted to take another wife. And he couldn't, in law, if he took it, he could take another wife, but he had to pay for them both. If he couldn't afford to pay for them both and he divorced Soraya to marry the new girl, then he would have to give Soraya's dowry back to her father. And he couldn't afford to do that. And so basically he schemed up a plot to accuse Soraya of having an affair. And the punishment for an affair for a woman is execution. And when they stone someone, I don't know if we know in the West exactly how this happens. They dig a hole and they put her in the hole so she can't move. Well, let's talk about this for a second because this kind of goes into Soraya's story. I know why 90 people can't overthrow their government. It's very simple. Why can't 90 million people overthrow their government? Because they don't have weapons. They don't have a Second Amendment like we do. That's why the Second Amendment is important. Not every country has our Constitution. They have no weapons. I would beg you to go and look at footage from this past January and early February of all of the people protesting, trying desperately to overthrow the Ayatollah. And what happened to them? Hundreds of thousands of people in one day were taken out because they have nothing to fight with. They have no means of protection. And this is where I get mad, because this is where I don't think Americans truly understand how blessed we are to live in a country where we have that right to protect ourselves. Yeah, they've tried desperately to take the Second Amendment away from us, but it's never worked. And thank God for that. Thank God for that it's never worked. Because this is what happens with the Ayatollah. That's what happens when people are stripped of their right to defend themselves. So you might not have known that. I'll give you that. But that's a very, in my opinion, that's a very ignorant comment to make, that you don't understand. Because I don't think and ignorant means you don't know. Like, I don't think you actually know that these people don't have the right to defend themselves. We do. That's the difference. That's the difference. And it's because of stuff like that. And Captain America to Save Every Nation, they asked for our help. Again, they asked for our help. So I really don't understand why that's hard for people to think that we've just butted in. They've asked for our assistance. You know? The book is The Stoning of Soraya M. The Stoning of Soraya M. I'll actually type it in to the chat right now. And it's easy. It's easy to read in the sense that it doesn't take that long to read. It's gruesome to read though, because they take you through everything leading up to her stoning. But oh, YouTube won't let me put it because I think it's because of the word stoning. So let me try it this way. Hold on. The morality police, and Iran has morality police. So look at that. Let's see if YouTube will take this one. There we go. I just took out the O and put an asterisk in there. That's what it's called. There's a movie as well. Let me see if I can look it up for you guys and share. It's on YouTube. The movie, and again, it's in Farsi's, but they have subtitles. It's got actually Jim Caviezel, funnily enough, plays the French journalist. Is this 2008? So this is the movie from 2008. Let me share screen here. Here we go. All right, so this is it's got a maxi pad advertisement for it. Hold on one second, guys. All right, here we go. Let me remove. Oh, I got to remove that first. I'm still learning this StreamYard business. Okay, remove, and then let's put up the advertisement for the movie. All right, so the stoning of Soraya M. You can find it on YouTube. You can rent it on YouTube. Looks like they have it on Tubi and Roku. You can look at clips from it. There's a lot of really gruesome pictures. Let's see here. Let me pull up all the pictures. Yes, you see, guys, they have like they show how they dig the hole. Oops, that's a sponsorship. Let's see here. And they show like how, I mean, it literally like it's just so horrific what happened. It's all true. It's all a true story. And as they say, this is like basically she's one of many hundreds of thousands of women have gone through the same thing. See, they tie them, they put them into a yeah, exactly. And so I would absolutely suggest reading this to really understand like what these women are going through for anything. I mean, imagine that this woman was totally innocent. She didn't have an affair. And even if she did, what happened to her should not have happened to her. Should absolutely not have happened to her. It's ridiculous. When that happens in the West, people just get divorced, right? Like no one loses their life, you know? And she didn't even then she didn't even do that. And the book goes into more detail about her life and like her marriage and her childhood. Her aunt was the one that actually pulled the report and told the reporter the story. And then after they're done with stoning, they don't even get proper burial. They get fed to dogs. You know, so it's gruesome. There's also another let's see. Let me remove this and let me show you guys another good one that I watched the other day, which is called Not Without My Daughter, and it is on YouTube. So it is a Not Without My Daughter is about an American woman who married an Iranian in America. He was here in America, and they decided to go to Iran like right at the beginning of the revolution for to see his family so they can meet their daughter. And when they got there, he decided that they weren't going to leave. And so this is a true story. The woman wrote a book about it, and it's about her having to Sally Fields plays having to escape Iran. And it's absolutely true. You've seen it, Jojo? Yeah, it's crazy. And that's based on a true story. And the woman wrote a book called Not Without My Daughter. And the daughter's a few years older than me, and she's out there as well. And her husband, actually, her husband actually got put on like a couldn't come back to the United States at all because of what had happened. So if this is legitimate, like what these people have gone through is we won't thankfully we have never experienced that here in the Western world. Like we don't know what that's like here in the Western world. And that's why I get so frustrated with people who just don't care. They don't care about other human life. And that's so sad to me. They've been filled with such anti-American propaganda that anything this country does is bad, even though they asked for our help. And this is like the best damn country that's ever been on this planet. I'm sorry, but it is. I've lived in multiple countries. I would never trade my citizenship in for anything. We are still, despite everything, we are still so free here. And I was laughing with Todd because we were looking at Sharia law. And let me actually, I think I might have, yeah, I have Sharia law here. So let's look at Sharia law for a second, because this is what's, and Jenny in the chat, she's in New York. She's seeing this with Mendami. Like, so Sharia law is a moral, hold on, let me move my screen over a little bit. So Sharia law is a more religious and legal framework for Islam. The word Sharia in Arabic means the path or the way, referring to the path a Muslim follows to live in accordance to God's will. Sharia governs both personal religious practices and aspects of social law. That's the real scary part. That's theocracy, such as family rules, contracts, and ethics. The source of Sharia is the Quran. The primary source is the Quran, which Muslims believe is a direct revelation from God. It contains guidance on moral behavior, social justice, marriage, and inheritance and worship. The second source is the teachings and actions of Muhammad, recorded in the Hadith, traditional reports. These describe how Muhammad practiced the principles of Quran. While Muhammad, no offense to any Muslims, but he was also a PDF file. He married a 6-year-old. Scholarly interpretations. Islamic scholars develop systems of interpretations over centuries. These include agreements among small scholars and applying principles to new situations. Different scholars and regions develop different legal traditions. These different schools. So religious duties are, let me move this for you guys. Religious duties are daily prayer, fasting during Ramadan, charity, pilgrimage to Mecca, personal life. It covers marriage and divorce, inheritance, and dietary laws. So they control what you eat. Financial rules, contracts, prohibition of interest, criminal justice, theft, adultery, and unaliving. Again, not all Muslim countries enforce criminal punishments associated with Sharia. Categories of human action. Islamic law classifies actions into 5 characters: obligatory, recommended, permissible, discouraged, forbidden. The structure is more like a moral framework than a single legal code. Anyway, it's terrible. It's awful. And this is what we're seeing. I typed this in to explain it as barbaric, because it is barbaric. It is absolutely barbaric. Restriction of free speech can be used politically. This is where we get everything, and this that's evil about Islam is from Sharia law, and that is what they're trying to push here in the United States and in other countries. We're seeing it as, and even in Iran, they have the morality police. So if you watch Not Without My Daughter, you'll see a scene with the morality police. Exactly, Dragonfly. It's evil incarnate to turn a blind eye to what they do in the name of their religion. Women and children have no rights and minimal value. In fact, the Ayatollah, before he was eliminated, just gave a speech about how women are basically the same as animals, that we're only made to look human so that men will be interested in us. Now, I value animal life too, but that is barbaric. And this Sharia law is, we're seeing it creep into the United States, especially in New York with Mandami. Like it's unbelievable. And we're doing this with the morality police, right? Like we have to be polite. We have to, no, I'm sorry. If you move to a Western country, you're going to have to assimilate to Western values. And even though I'm not a fan of fundamentalist Christianity, the West is a even though we don't have a religion in America, the West is influenced by the Christian faith. It's just influenced by Judaism and the Christian faith. And if you are not of that faith and you are not of that culture and you come to the West, you are going to be expected to assimilate to the West, to the Western culture, not the other way around. My friend that I grew up with who was Muslim, she was born here in the United States. Oh, thank you, Deb. I feel very passionate about this. Like I feel very passionate about that these Iranian people, they need our support right now. They're asking for our support. And as a human being, absolutely. And you know what? And the Persian Empire has given us so much as Westerners, like so much, that karmically as well, not just humanitarianly, but karmically, we owe it to them to help them. They've helped us. We need to help them. And so my friend who was Muslim, who's grew up Islamic, her she was born here in the United States, but her family were from northern India. They assimilated. They came here to the United States. Their kids were born here. They're citizens. They didn't wear any coverings. My friend's mother never wore a covering. My friend and her sister wore bikinis to the pool with us. They assimilated. They became Americans. And even though they would do Ramadan, they would do their holidays, their religious holidays, they didn't force it on people. Right? They didn't force it on people. They didn't expect us to bow to them. My friend, again, very different from Sharia law. Her father sent her to medical school. My friend's a doctor now. That's very different from Iran. That's very different. And so, but we're seeing this, I just saw, was it, where was it? God, was it America? Was it somewhere in America or somewhere? I can't, I've watched so much stuff on this where they're going to stop playing music at the school during Ramadan to respect um, the Muslim religion, but it's like you're in the West. So why they have to assimilate to us? We're seeing more halal shops open up. We're seeing I watched Heretics, the YouTube channel with Andrew Gold, and he had Laura, the insider, who goes on Sean Atwood a lot. I just watched. Once we're done, I will well, actually, let me see. I might be able to pull it up and put it in the chat for you guys. It was incredible, and she talked a lot about what's going on in the UK, and is King Charles is he secretly Muslim, like all these things. And it was quite concerning, the things that she was saying, but it resonates. I'm looking to see if I can find it here. It resonates with stuff that we see in the United States as well. Very concerning things. If people are not hurting you, like if there's a God, where is it? If there Oh, here it is. All right, here it is. Sorry. Here we go. Okay, I'm going to put the link in the chat for you guys. This is an incredible interview on Andrew Gold's but if you're forcing, next thing we know, oh, it was Austria. Okay, that's the one thing I want to say. The Austrian prime minister, I have a friend in Austria. Austria is about as white as you're gonna get. Like my friend from Vienna yodels. Like, like they all yodel. Like they're so white. They all have tours to the sound of music, like the Von Trapp. I mean, that they are white. And oh, but Sarah, heretic. So hold on one second. I'll answer your question, then we'll get back to it. So Sarah, we covered the definition heretic on my channel. All heretic means is somebody who doesn't follow the official narrative. That's the definition of heretic. So I would let go of that. That's very much programming from the powers that be to make us afraid of heretics. But all of us are pretty much heretics because we don't follow the official narrative, right? So that's the whole show, is that they're not following the narrative. They're going deeper. So I don't and if you don't believe me, just look up the word heretic yourself and you'll see it just means somebody who doesn't follow the official narrative. That's all a heretic means. So what was I talking about? Oh, Austria, my friend, very white people, blonde hair, blue eyed, yodeling, Von Trapps. The hills are alive with the sound of music. Like Austria is as stereotypical white as you can get. Well, the prime minister of Austria basically said that there's going to come a time where Austrian women are going to have to start covering up to make the Islamic women feel welcome. What? I'm sorry. Western women have never covered up. Our Western ancestors only wore shawls over their head when it was cold outside for warmth. But when have Western women ever covered themselves, right? Exactly. Oh, hell no. We don't do that. And I will stand with Austrian women on that, because those are my women. Those are white women. We share the same heritage. Like, our collective ancestors, that's not our culture. And even when our collective ancestors in the West, the women wore long dresses and long sleeves, they were still fitted dresses. So very different from what they wear. They were very fitted dresses. In the Tudor era, they wore very low cut fitted dresses. So even though it was a different style, there was no hiding of it was not like it is And if you want to move to the West, regardless of whether you're in Europe or America or Canada or Australia, you are going to have to assimilate to the West, not the other way around. But they're trying to virtue signal us. They're trying to morality police us into tolerating, into allowing people from another country to come in and dominate our culture. And that's not okay. There was a great Canadian patriot that the same guy who said, when immigrants come in waving their own flag, that's not immigration, that's an invasion, which he's totally right about that. That was absolutely right. But he said something about Canada, the same Canadian patriot who was protesting Mark Carney. He said, the mistake Canada has made is it's tried to polite its way, and it's only polited its way into compliance and submission. And sometimes you can't be polite. Sometimes you can't be polite. Sometimes you just have to say no. No, we're not doing this. People are welcome to legally immigrate here all they want, especially America. We're a melting pot. People are welcome to, but if they come here, we're a Western world, we're a Western country, they're going to have to assimilate to Western culture. And in Western culture, we don't marry kids at 6. In Western culture, we don't practice polygamy. In Western countries, we don't treat women as second-class citizens. In Western countries, women have rights. We don't do honor killings. We don't do blood atonement. So if you want to live here, you're going to have to play by those rules. Yeah, exactly right. I don't know if I can read that out loud, Sarah, but you're absolutely right. There are some very scandalous paintings. Our Western women, white women are sassy. Like we've always been sassy, and we're just gonna do it anyway. So it's so I was watching a history show on the history of divorce. I don't know if I've ever said this on a show before, but I remember telling one of my yoga classes this. I was dying laughing, and one of these historians, he was being so dead serious when he said that, and that's what made it. I mean, maybe I just laugh at really inappropriate things, but the fact that I love history and I study history so much, I just love it. The fact that he said this, I busted out laughing. He was talking about Europeans, about women, white women, basically, and he was like, no, we have learned throughout history that we absolutely have to give white women, European women, the right to file for divorce, because if we take that right away from them, they will murder. I just started laughing so hard because he's right. Women back in days of yore in Europe, when they couldn't file, when they were women, were never treated as bad as the Iranian women, but still didn't have like certain rights. If they couldn't get rid of their husbands, what would they do? They would buy poison. That's just like what they would do. They would buy. So this historian was absolutely correct. He was like, no, we will absolutely never take the right away from away from a white woman to file for divorce, because history has shown us that if a European a woman of European origin cannot file for divorce, she will murder. Just like started dying laughing. So it is normal to laugh at. I don't think he was trying to be I don't think he was trying to be funny. I think he was like, seriously, like, no, guys, like, you don't understand. They were very independent. Colonial women were very independent. They had to be, didn't they? Where's the book? Do I still have it? Now my mind. I just read a book a while ago. Where did I put it? I have so many books around here about a midwife during, like, right after the American Revolution. And it's amazing, like, what they did. And they fought back. Like, the book goes into some of, like, from her journals, like, what she went through. And she, like, I mean, she fought back, like, because men would touch her inappropriately, and the way that she would learn to, like, and I, as a daughter of a man, I mean, all of us have fathers, and my sister, we were taught how to punch. My dad taught us how to punch with our finger out, our knuckle out like that, to really, to get people off of us, just to, that we were taught that, to protect ourselves. And so learning how to do this is part of European culture, because if women can't file for divorce, we will murder. So we will fight. So, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot. I mean, think about the conditions a lot of European women come from, like especially Northern European, like the weather, having to make butter and live in the cold, and it's absolutely yeah, it's yeah, self-defense all the way, and that's it's so anyway. This is an important story. I know we're almost at 2 hours, guys, and to pull it back to the Iranian soccer team, let's make sure if you're in Australia, when you wake up, our Australians, when they wake up, pressure you because we know it's not the people. We know the Australian people, majority of them would absolutely, oh, hell no. The majority of them would be like, keep those ladies here. We're going to protect them. They obviously don't want to, um, they'll take them out, DK. They've been taking them out. There's been like three. There's been three since the first one was taken out. They're just going to keep taking them out. So somebody posted that. They were like, "Man, I took a 20-minute nap and woke up 3 Ayatollahs later." So they've gone through like 3 already. So they put appoint one. One was appointed at 9 a.m. and was dead by 3 p.m. They just keep taking them out. And the people in Tehran are filming it. They're filming where the mullahs go to vote, and they're filming. And every time the smoke comes up saying that they have a new Ayatollah, they put their cameras up to film to see how long it takes for them to get nuked again. So I'm not concerned if they keep appointing somebody new, because bless their hearts, as we say in the South, as a cut down, like bless their hearts, they're not gonna be the Ayatollah for long. Could you imagine? Just to be a little funny for a second, could you imagine being one of the mullahs right now and sitting in that conference to appoint a new leader, and like for once they're probably like, not me, man, not me, man, no, it's got to be for once they're like, no, I don't want to be the supreme leader. Because they're just going out by the day, they're getting taken out by the day. And I know that the Shah, the son of the Shah, the prince who's in exile, has called, as I read, he's called for the military, the Iranian military, to lay down their weapons and join the people. That if they do that, and so has Trump. Trump have said that as well, because a lot of these people that live in these countries that oh, you're next, lol. Yep. I would love to be a fly on the wall just to see that happening. Exactly. I don't want to be the supreme leader. I don't. I'm the. Yeah. It's not. Yeah. Trump has even said, because a lot of these military people in these countries are not in the military by choice, right? We know this. We know this. I feel that way a lot about. I went away. I feel that way about like Nazi Germany too. Like a lot of a lot of the young boys, I think, kind of were forced. There's complex, right? And so Trump has said that too, that the Iranian military who lay down their weapons, they will be given immunity. Because a lot of them are not there by choice. And so if they're told that they'll be secure and they won't be and so the prince just said that as well, like go ahead and surrender. It's not going to end pretty for the Ayatollahs. The Ayatollahs are not. Somebody also posted, like, with the Ayatollah, the first one, that was Khamenei, that was executed, that was eliminated. Someone said he spent 47 years knocking America, and on the first day he gets eliminated. So I don't think it's going to end pretty. I think that I think most of the Persians feel like, no, I'm not. Okay, you're getting blocked. You're getting blocked. Um, let's see here. Just gonna block abuse, you guys. Um, yes, it's like I wouldn't want to be in their position. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And I think that a lot of, people they understand that there are a lot of people in these positions that maybe wouldn't be in those positions if they weren't in the situation that they're in. And so I don't think it's going to I don't think it's gonna last that much longer. And according to all the Persians that are celebrating, I think they're kind of under the same assumption that this is it, it's over. It might still be lingering on for a little bit, and at this point, it's just sport for the military. It's like, what was that in the late 80s, early 90s, the first Nintendo that had like Duck Hunt? And you had the laser pew pew. I think that's kind of like it is for them right now. And all the Persians that are and for the people who think I'm not telling the truth, the guy I just blocked, get off of mainstream media Stop watching mainstream media and go and look at actual Persian people's accounts. Go and watch the people who are having the lived experience. Don't listen to your college professors. Don't listen to the news reporters or your woke liberal friend who thinks they know. Yep, exactly. What it is because the media is spinning a different story. And they think, and I think people who live in the Western world have this like really strange idea that everything can be accomplished without war. And I wish that were a case. I wish that were the case that we could, but we sometimes that's the only option. We look at like I always say people think yoga is about light and love, and I'm like, yoga was founded in the middle of a war. Like, come on. Exactly, DK, us too. My sister and I did too. That's what I think. I think that's what the military is just like sitting back going like, zap, zap. They're not even hiding. That's the thing about it is like, how idiotic. Like the mullahs haven't even decided to like go somewhere else to vote for an Ayatollah. They're still going to the same like they're making it real easy. They're making it real easy. And that's why I love the Persians who are filming from their home and they just watch the smoke come up and they set their camera up to see how long it takes for it just to get like again. And God bless them. Like the people in Tehran have been putting so many videos out thanking the United States, as sounds are going off around them, they are on their camera saying, whether I make it out of this or not, I'm so grateful that you guys have come to help us because there's no turning back now. And thank you for my people for liberating us. And so, it takes a lot there for a country to beg, for the strongest military in the world, United States military, for them to beg and plead for them to come and their country, things have to be really bad. Things have to be really bad for them to beg for that to happen. But if we were in the United States and the same thing happened, I would probably be begging for help as well. And it's so funny because we see the Cubans kind of like, psst, psst. I think pretty soon we might see the Canadians being like, come get Mark Carney. Oh no, this is where he lives. Oh no, so, and I'm all for it. I am all for it to get people free because humans deserve to be free. You could have a culture in your country that doesn't restrict people's humanity. Any culture that's restricting somebody else's humanity is not a culture I want to be a part of. And the sad thing is the Persian Empire was never what the Ayatollah is. They're as a Persian I know said, the Ayatollah is occupying Iran right now. They're occupying Iran, just like the Third Reich occupied Germany. They're occupying Iran. They're not Iranian. They're occupying Iran. And so I hope to God that Persia is able to build its empire back and that they're able to live free. Listen, I know for me, it's hot. It's hot in Georgia too, but if I had to go to Iran and cover up like that in the heat, like bless those women's heart. Like, can you imagine how hot that would be to be dressed that way in the desert? Like, I can't even Jesus Christ, like give them some shorts. Give them some shorts and a tank top. Let them breathe. Let them go back. Exactly. Zoroastrianism was the religion of Iran, and God bless them. Let them have their religion back. It was never like this is how the Iranians should be. They should be living like this. Free. That's freedom. That's freedom to wear a bikini and to be fine. We should go back to this. We should go back to the land of Cyrus the Great. And we should celebrate that. Because even though we're not Iranian, even though we're not Persian, we can appreciate what Persia has done for us. And these are human beings. These are human beings who deserve to have a good life. They don't deserve to be this. This is not humanity. I would never do this to an animal anyway, but we don't even do this to animals, do we? Judaism doesn't do this, do they, Dragonfly? Christianity doesn't do this. Zoroastrianism doesn't do this. Yeah, it's been a long time, hasn't it? 1979. A long time. And this is our generation's Adolf Hitler. And yeah, nope. No, Judaism, they don't do that. They don't cover them like this, like women, us women like this. So, yeah. And in Judaism, I think about Judaism and Christianity, even though there's a lot more women that have been kind of removed, wrong one, from the Torah and from the Bible, at least there are some women, right? Ruth, Esther, they still honored women. Yeah. Exactly, like, being from the South, I'm like, "That looks awful." Like, that I think I would rather just take my chances because that is hell on earth to have to be covered like that in that heat. So, so the Iranian we're coming off of International Women's Day, and my feeling as a woman who is free, a free woman who was born free, as every woman here was, that the women of Iran who that's so Dragonfly, that actually makes me emotional. Yeah, see, for the people who remember it falling, it's so sad. It's so sad. And as women who are free, who are in a country where we can speak up, I think we owe it to the women in Iran who can't. And we can be their voice for them. And we can show for it makes me emotional for the reading both y'all's comments. For the women who are here, the Persian Americans who are here right now and who are celebrating on the streets, we should join them in those celebrations and not try to lecture them on why they're wrong, why their people, should continue being oppressed. Like, no, we should hug them and celebrate with them because more human lives are now are in the process of becoming free. And I will, if anybody, and same thing we did with the hurricane that hit Tennessee. Um, if you guys know of any charities that are legit, that are not cons, like any type, I'm sure like once the Ayatollah is totally gone, they're probably going to need a lot of help. Sending in, I'm sure they're going to have to send in a lot of like doctors, medical teams to go in and just really help the people that are injured. And if you guys know of any, be on the lookout because I know we're still in like a pause right now because we keep nuking, we keep like knocking out, eliminating, but we know the day is going to come where they're going to need help to complete the rescue. So if anybody knows of a charity that's good, that's not corrupt, or knows of anybody who is Persian that will be going back to help, that you trust, that we could raise money to send to send with them to help, please let me know because I know that a little bit of US dollars goes a long way over there. And so anything we can do to help them recover, I will be more than happy to promote on my channel. Um, yeah, it's and this could happen to any one of us. They're trying to do it in the Western world right now, so we definitely history repeats itself. So although I don't know, like us white, according to history, with us white European women, we might just go back on the poison market again and just start drinking. So, um, yeah, exactly. Send them some short swimsuits and t-shirts and be like, there you go, breeze yourself out, girl. Like, you don't need an underwire bra. We're gonna send you some nice comfortable bras that you can stay in the heat with. So, if Sharia law were to take over in the Western world, I don't think people understand what that means. I mean, for me specifically, that means we would no longer be allowed to teach yoga. We would have to shut down all the yoga shalas would shut down. That means that most of the temples, the synagogues, the churches would all shut down. That concert venues and halls would shut down, right? Like everything we take for granted would be gone the minute Sharia law is we wouldn't be allowed to own dogs anymore. All of our dogs would be taken from us, and I will be damned if you touch a hair on my dog's head. So we have to fight for our freedom. Freedom isn't free. And so yeah, we had a lot of trolls today, but I think that's partially the mainstream media's fault. They're trying to cover up the truth of what's going on. And I think that's also partially the truther movement's fault because the truthers are really showing their asses, and they in that somehow yeah, like yeah, and that's Iran, there's different accents. It's an accent thing. That's all it is. My friends who are Iranian want to be called Persian anyway. They don't want to be called Iranian. They want to be called Persian. That's obviously different for different people, but everyone I know wants to be called Persian. I think they kind of connect Iran with what the Ayatollah, and they see it more as Persia. They're more Persian. So anyway, but that's just, I mean, that's not, that's not my country, but I think we need to also listen to the Persians, not listen to the media. If you see a truther that tells you, oh, but the Epstein emails, just kindly ask them, so do their lives not matter? Is it only the Epstein emails that matter and these people's lives don't matter? Because from my perspective, all lives matter. And this was a more pressing circumstance because these people are still alive. So, yeah, and let's just pray to God that the soccer team again, that the women's soccer team, that the Prime Minister of Australia does the right thing and keeps them in Australia so that they're safe, gives them asylum. I trust, because Trump said if he doesn't, then America will come get them, because if they get sent home, they're going to be executed, all for simply refusing to sing their national anthem. So let's really just pray for them and give them help. They're obviously asking for help. If they knew doing that would put them in a dire situation. So I think they obviously thought they would get help. So you're totally welcome. I just, I will never stand on the side that thinks hurting hurting I will never be on the side that thinks that leaving a dictator in office is a good thing, because human lives matter, right? They matter. And these are humans. And I will never get behind somebody who says, oh, we shouldn't have gone in there, blah, blah, blah. No, no, no. They asked for us to help and we're helping because and I think sometimes people have a hard time like putting themselves in other people's shoes. I think we need to practice a little bit of, oh, good. Willow, what do you know will you let us know what station it was for us, so we could after this we can all go watch it, because I definitely want to support them and figure out and try to help these ladies as much as possible. As free women, we should absolutely be gathering around women who aren't free to help them get their liberation. And so I will never stand on the side of history that says it's okay to obliterate people who are asking for help. Never. So I stand with the Iranian people. I stand with the Persians, and yeah, absolutely. Us as free women, we have to whom much is given, much is expected. As free women, we need to be using our voices for those women who aren't free. Because if the tables were turned, I would hope to God they would do the same for us. Right? So we're all daughters, we're all sisters, we're all mothers, not all of us. We're all aunts. Like we're the same, right? We all get our periods. We all as women, we all deal with the same shit. So anyway, guys, well, it's been about 2 hours. Thank you so much for this. I promise you we're eventually going to get back to our Mystery Mondays. It's just stuff is happening right now. So it's getting crazier and wilder. And I definitely felt like that was really important, because I was shooketh that this person thought that we were interfering with culture because they're Islam. So of course they want to be covered. They want to be. And I'm like, they were never Islamic. Iran was never Islamic. They're Zoroastrian. And then they were shocked. Well, then why don't they say something? Because they're under a dictatorship. You try living under a if someone's gonna kill you, you're gonna shut up and just do what they tell you to do. So I thank you guys for being here. Now on tomorrow, just so you guys are aware, tomorrow I'm going to be dropping a members only episode for the Bloodlines in the morning. And then as far as like a public video, we're going to be going dark tomorrow publicly. It'll just be a members only pre-record that will be released. And then Wednesday, I'm really excited about Wednesday, because our favorite ex-Mormon is going to be back. I'm actually going to reach out to Crush as well. And we're going to talk about Erica Kirk and the Mormons with Lorraine, who is really digging into the Mormons. So that'll be fun. That'll be on noon on Wednesday. And then Thursday, I'll be back on Catherine's channel. It's her turn this week. And then Friday, we're going to be back with Midwest Night Watchers. Todd and I are going to be doing a show, all three of us. All three of us. Will you let us know, please, Willow, put in the chat which which news program you were speaking about that has a backstory, because we would love to watch it. Let us know. So yeah, so Midwest Night Watchers on Friday with Todd and me at 2 o'clock. It's gonna be a live show and them. So we're gonna be simulcasting through all of our channels. I don't know if we're gonna be doing a Lou live this week or not. Oh, I just looked at DK's name and I saw this as well. So tomorrow, Tuesday, what is happening tomorrow besides the next bloodline video being dropped at 10 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow, we're going to be doing a live class on Fusion Body Studio. So those who are a part of Fusion Body Studio, you should have gotten the link. It's at 10 a.m. If you can't make it, it's no big deal. We're going to load it. It's going to obviously be loaded for replay later on for you guys who can't make the live, but we're going to experiment. You guys, the ones who do show up tomorrow, you're going to be our guinea pigs. We got a new sound system with a body mic, and so we're going to experiment shooting a live with the body mic, the music at AYA. So it's going to be at AYA. It's going to be a Bar Fusion. And Jenny, if you're here, if you can make it tomorrow, if you're still in your moon boot, I'll have modifications for people who need to sit down. So don't feel like you can't come if you're injured. So anyway, you guys, if you want to join Fusion Body Studio, I was supposed to play an ad, but I totally forgot to do that. If you want to join it, you can use Bryce20 at checkout for 20% off your first 6 months with us. You get your first week for free. And if you're with Fusion Body and you did not get the link emailed to you, I will repost the link in the community chat on Fusion Body tomorrow morning. So you have the link there. Anyway, guys, so Willow, I'm going to end the stream, but I think the chat still goes for a little bit. But if you find the news posting, Willow, and the live chat is done, put it in the comment section, because I really want to check out what's going on, because people are asking for help, and when people ask for help, it's our duty to help them. So, all right, you guys, have a wonderful, wonderful Monday. God bless Iran. And if you are Persian and you are watching right now, we are so incredibly happy for you. And we hope that this is good news to come. And we hope that your people are rightfully liberated very, very soon. And we will be here to help you guys clean up the pieces once this is over. And for all the other people living under a dictatorship, hopefully this is a sign of things to come. So, all right, you guys, I will see you all very soon. Bye, everybody.